All right, so today we're going to review the test, the sample test that's in your book, and we'll go through. You need to have a piece of loose leaf paper so you can write down your work as you go, because there's not enough room on here to review. And this is very similar to the online test. So let's see. What do we got here? All right, so a dollhouse has 15.15 square feet and 6.25 square feet upstairs and downstairs. And which of the following is the best estimate of the total area in the dollhouse? So we're estimating, if you write out your problem, the actual equation would be 15.15 plus 6.25, but we want an estimate. So if you look at all your options down here, they're in whole number. So we're going to go to the nearest whole number. So 15.15 would round down to 15, and 6.25 would round down to 6. So we are um, adding them together. So 15 plus 6 is 21. Number 2, use mental math to find the sum of $12.15, $16.85, and $1.74. And if you were to write the equation out, it would be 12.15 plus 16.85 plus 174. You can see your answers are an exact answer because we're using mental math to find the sum. And if you're uncomfortable doing that, you can, of course, just do it pencil paper. So the mental math strategy would be, first you would look for compatible numbers that would add together easily in your head. So 15 cents and 85 cents would be a dollar. So you could, in your head, you could either move the 85 cents over here and make that $13, make that $16, and then you would just add $1.74. So we'd wind up with 13 plus 16 plus 1, and you'd get $30.74. Now, if you can't do that in your head, that's way too tricky for you. You can do old school. Just make sure you're lining everything up in place value. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Carry the 1. 8 and 2 is 10, plus 7, 17. Carry the 1. 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry the 1. And 1, 2, 3. So if you need to do it old school, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you come up with the correct answer. If you can do it mentally, you probably, at your age, at 5th grade, I would suggest checking all your work using paper pencil, even though you can do it mentally. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get rid of this and scooch the paper up. Choose all of the expressions that are equal. So in this, you've got to do a little work here. So we're trying to find things that would have the same value when you add them together. So you're going to have to go through and add stuff together. So for the first one, 256 plus 387. When you add those together, actually I should have started with figuring out what this is. Let me do that. 265 plus 378. Add that together. 8 and 5, 13. Carry the 1. So we're looking for 643. Let's see what we have here. 13. Carry the 1. So that one works. 378 plus 265. That one works. 10 minus 367. Do a little subtraction here. Got to do a lot of regrouping. Make that a 9. Make that a 10. Make that a 9. Make that a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9 minus 6 is 3. And 9 minus 3 is 6. So that one will not work. In the tens place, it's a little too high. And the next one, 951. You can see why you really need some loose leaf to be writing all this stuff out. It's a lot of work. So we're going to have to do some borrowing here, regrouping. That one works. And the last one, 821 minus 2.78. I can already tell that's not going to work, but we'll go through the math anyway. Borrow. Borrow. So that's not going to work. In the ones place, it's not big enough. So those are 3 answers for number 3. I'm going to get rid of all this. Please try to do everything nice and neat in a notebook. You can number your work so you can go back and check it if you get it wrong at a later point. If we were in school, you would have to hand that written work in to me. Even if you're doing the online tests, you actually would have to hand in, and also in middle school that happens a lot too. You would have to hand in your computation page when you finish taking the test. That's so the teacher can be sure that you're not just guessing. For questions 4A to 4D, choose yes or no to tell if the number is 7.15 will make each equation true. So we're going to put 7.15 in all of these and see if we're going to get the equation. And these are nicely numbered, so in your notebook you can actually, or your piece of loose leaf, you can label it 4.95 plus 7.15. 5 plus 5 is 10. 9 plus 2 is 11. 7 plus 5 is 13. So is that going to be true? Oh, wait. 7. Oop, got that one wrong. So that one is right. That one works. I made an error there. 4B, 10.82 minus 7.15. I can't take 5 away from 2, so I'm going to need to borrow. And so that one's a no. 4C, 8.47 plus 7.15. That's a no. And the last one, 4D, 9.14 minus 7.14. Oh, 7.15. Boy, I'm not doing so great here. Kind of a little distracted. There we go. That's a yes. 1.99. If you were taking a test, like a state test, a high stakes test, I would suggest you do all the problems twice to double check your work. That's a good way to catch your little silly mistakes. Even if you do have the time, you should be double checking your work on any test. Number 5, Lawrence pays $1.89 on a bottle of paint and 45 cents on a brush. What is the total amount he spent? Use the model to help you. So if we use the algorithm, $1.89 plus 45, 9 plus 5 is 14, carry the 1. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13, carry the 1. So, and you make sure you put that dollar sign there. And you can double check. They've got it all shaded in for you. There's 1, 2, and so we've got 3 rows of 10. So there's our 3 rows of 10 and 4 little guys. So you can use the image there. Explain how the model helps you find the sum. So you can say that the full grids are $1. And the small squares shaded in the third grid equals less than $1. Whatever the value is, that's less than $1. So that's how we can use our grids to help us out. And anything reasonable. And remember, when you take the online test, they actually write possible answers, and you have to figure out which one is the best answer. So it's a little bit different than the book test. They give you the words, and you have to figure out which one would be the best answer. For number 6, draw lines to match each expression on the left to the equivalent decimal on the right, and you get 1 point for each one. So we're going to have to do the work over here on the left-hand side and find out where our answers are on the right. So again, in your notebook for number 6, we're just going to show your math. Make sure you're doing the right sign. These are adding. So we want 4.70, and here we have it right here. Because remember, they are equal to each other. We can take the 0 away or annex the 0, and you'll have the same value. 8.5 minus 4.8. Going to need some regrouping there. 15 minus 8, 7. 7 minus 4 is 3. 3.7. 4.25 plus 1.55. 5.8, and the last one, 11.4 minus 6.6. Can't take 6 away from 4, so I'm going to have to borrow. 6 from 14 minus 6 is 8, and 10 minus 6 is 4. So that works. There we go. Okay, that's the first page of the math review for your test. And even though there's only 6 problems, you had a lot of work to do because number 3, 4, and 5 were all different addition problems and subtraction problems that you had to solve. All right, on the next page, page 105. Oh, wait a minute, 106, yeah. Ed is training for a race. Make sure I'm at the top of the page there. He ran 12.56 miles on one day and 12.98 miles the next. What is his combined distance for the first 2 days? When we're combining, that means we're adding. So for number 7, we're adding 12.56 and 12.98. And 6 plus 8 is 14. Carry the 1. 9 plus 5 plus 1 is 15. Carry the 1. 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So the combined is 25.54 miles. And we have to write that word miles They're asking for a specific thing. It's like 25.54 what? Bananas? No, miles. When you have word problems, make sure you're identifying what your answer is. Don't just float a number around in a box. How much farther did he run the second day than the first day? So now we're going to be doing some subtraction. Taking what he ran the second day and what he ran the first day, and we are subtracting them. So he has less than a mile, 42 hundredths of a mile. All right. Moving down. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you just rewind your video. You can always pause the video, get things copied in there, think about what I'm saying, replay if it didn't make sense to you. The Jefferson Memorial, let's get that. The Jefferson Memorial is on 18.36 acres of land, and the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial is on 7.5 acres of land. How many more acres is the Jefferson Memorial than the Roosevelt Memorial? We're not adding them. We are doing some subtraction. 18.36 minus 7.5, and they're both in acres, and I'm going to annex a 0 here so I can do my subtraction. So 6 minus 0 is 6, and just a little trick right here for those of you that like to, be crafty with your math. You're going to have a 6 in the hundredths place. So it can't be C and it can't be D because there's no 6 in the hundredths place. So our choices are going to be between A and B. Now let's continue our subtraction here. And they both have a 0.86, so that's not going to help you. 17 minus 7 is 10. So here's our answer, B. A box weighs 23.7 pounds. Another box weighs 6.91 pounds. What is the combined weight of the two boxes? So let's take our boxes. And add them together. I'm going to annex a 0 there because there's nothing in the hundreds place there. So our combined weight is 30.61 pounds. And our bar diagram would have your combined weight, and it would show you you're adding 6.91 and 23.70. So that's how you would write your bar diagram, draw and label a bar diagram. Moving on, a couple more problems left. And remember, this whole unit really is reviewing addition and subtraction, just how to use addition and subtraction for numbers with multiple digits. And in 5th grade, we move into the decimal place value. But if you were in 4th grade, you might be doing the exact same kind of problems with just whole numbers. So this one might be a little tricky if you don't remember what perimeter means. And perimeter is a distance around an object. So Cassandra has a rectangular patio in her backyard. The patio is 12.74 meters long and 5.45 meters wide. Round the length and the width to the nearest whole number. Then estimate the perimeter. So if our length is 12.74 and our width is 5.45, and I want to round to my nearest whole number. So I'm rounding here to the ones place, and I'm rounding here to the ones place. So I look to the guy next door. The 7 is going to make my 12 turn into a 13. for rounding purposes. That's the nearest whole number. And 5.45, the 4 isn't going to do anything to the 5, so it's going to leave it alone. So round to the nearest whole number. You'd have 13 plus 5. Add them together, 13 plus 5. And we've got to do that 2 times. Why am I doing it twice? Because I've got 2 other sides that I have to add it in. So you can do this 2 different ways. You can add the 2 measured perimeters and then double your total, or you can add 13 plus 13 plus 5 plus 5, whatever you'd like to do. So you can take this value and times it by 2 to get your perimeter, or you can add it in a row like that. Make your equation with no multiplication. So 13 plus 13 is 26. 5 plus 5 is 10. So 26 plus 10 is 36. So either way, it doesn't matter if you do it using finding the total of 2 sides and doubling it, or adding each one separately. Either way. And that's our equation. And that very messy blobby thing in the middle there is supposed to be a multiplication sign. You get that messiness out of there for you. So we should be times 2 or doubled. So that equation lists the numbers and the answer. That is an equation. So you can't just plop an answer in the box there. You actually have to put what values did you use to get that answer. And in this case, we use add-ins and factors and so on. So let's move to part B, round the length and width to the nearest tenth. So now we're going to go, got to move down. Wish there was a way to just erase all, but that's not an option. All right. Moving down, there we go. Round the length and the width to the nearest tenth and estimate the perimeter. So now we're rounding to the tenth. So remember we started with 12.74 and 5.45. Rounding that to the tenths place, change my color here, might help some of you see it a little bit better. The tenths place, I'm rounding to the tenths place now. So the 4 is going to leave the 7 alone. So now I have 12.7. And the 5 is going to make the 4 jump up to 5.5. So now estimate the perimeter, write an equation. So if I'm going to write the equation old school, I have 12.7 plus 12.7. And remember, I'm adding it twice because there's 2 sides. And then 5.5 plus 5.5 equals, let me get these out of here. The other way you could write it is you could write 12.7 plus 5.5 and times that by 2, if you want to do it that way. Some of you aren't ready for that yet. That's in the next chapter. But 12.7 plus 12.7 plus 5.5 plus 5.5. So 7 and 7 is 14. 5 and 5 is 10. So 14 plus 10 is 24. Put the 2 down. Put the 4 down, carry the 2. Got my decimals all lined up nice. 2, 4, 6 plus 10 is 16. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3. So 36.4 would be my answer. 36.4. So that is an equation, or if you wanted to just do it straight across. Remember, the equation has to have the answer. All right, now we're going to find the exact. So now we're just going to add to find the exact. So we have 12.74, 12.74, 5.45, 5.45. Adding all that together, 5 plus 5 is 10, 4 plus 4 is 8. So 10 plus 8 is 18. Put the 8 down, carry the 1. 7 plus 7 is 14. 4 plus 4 is 8. 14 plus 8 is 22. Plus 1 is 23. So put the 3 down, carry the 2. Then I have 2, 4, 6 plus 10 is 16. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3. So 36.38. 36.38 is our exact perimeter. And which estimate is closer? 36.4, or the one we had above that was 36. So which is closer? So the numbers rounded to the nearest tenth is closer. And why is it closer? It's closer because it's closer to the actual measurement. Because you didn't change, you only got rid of the tenths or the hundredths. You didn't get rid of the tenths. So it's closer to the actual numbers. The estimate used values that are closer to the actual numbers. So there we go. That was your review for the test. Good luck.